What's going on, everybody? Project Rod here, and this is the Rodcast, the Monster Truck Fanatic podcast, which is your ultimate destination for all things monster trucks, whether you're a diehard Monster Jam fan, a passionate follower of the monster truck scene, or just an avid player of the Monster Jam or monster truck related video games. This is the podcast for you. I'm your host, Project Rod, and welcome to episode 4 of the Rodcast. In today's episode, we're going to be having a special guest who was a previous driver of my Steel Titans 2 series on YouTube, and is currently a judge for Season 3. But before we get to that, we're going to go ahead and go over the results of the Arena Series from last week in Greensboro, which was the halfway point, the midway point of the season. But before I get started with that, let me just get this quick message across. I will be having a Google Docs sign-up sheet for the future. If you would like to be a guest on the podcast, I'll be sure to send you, or in that Google Docs is going to give you somewhat of the ground rules. There aren't very many ground rules, really. It's just like one or two when it comes to being on the podcast, but also a list of questions that may be asked during the podcast. Also, what you would prefer, what you would like to be called. You can choose what questions you do and don't want to answer, but kind of just it gets you prepped in a way that way you don't go in blindly. But also it helps me get the list of guests ready. That way I'm not kind of struggling and kind of, taking like guessing or whatever. I can just have it more organized since I've just been super unorganized with it lately. So definitely we'll have that out soon, and it'll be in the description here, hopefully. If not, and it'll be description in the future. But also be sure to join my Discord if you haven't already. A lot of it's going to be on there, and I'll be posting it on my Instagram as well. So please be sure to check those areas out, as well as my community page on my YouTube channel for more information and further clarification on that. But let's go ahead and get started with the results of the Arena Series from last week, which again, like I said, was the midway point of the season for them. They were in Greensboro, which is one of the toughest racing tracks because of the over-under. It's a figure 8 racing style, and there's just not a lot of obstacles for them, so it's a lot of creativity involved when it comes to skills and freestyle. But racing was really the toughest competition because of such all the sharp turns and the over-under. It threw a lot of the drivers off. So we'll go ahead and get started with the leaderboards before the stop, and we had Captain's Curse and Crazy Monster Jam Fan in first place with 45 points. El Toro Loco and Driftboy912 was in second place with 40 points. Ice Cream Man and Nick Moorhees in third place with 38. Gravedigger and April Summers in fourth place with 34. Doomsday and MMJ Producer in fifth with 32. And Monster Mud Husky and Nitro Studios in sixth with 31 points. Again, the Arena Series is 6 trucks only, not like the 12 trucks in the Stadium Series. So we'll go ahead and get started with qualifying, where Captain's Curse and Crazy Monster Jam Fan continues his hot streak and was the fastest qualifier for the second stop in a row with a 22.63, which was 1 second faster than Monster Mud Husky and Nitro Studios, who was second fastest in Greensboro. We did have a few flip overs and a few not disqualifications, but penalties because of the track, but not as crazy as Season 2. If you don't recall, in Season 2, Whiplash had a horrible spill in both of her qualifying runs where she crashed into the wall twice. So luckily we didn't see any of that, but we did see a couple of rollovers and penalties this time around. Next competition was high jump, where of course your reigning World Finals 2 high jump champion and is now a 3-time champion this season in the Arena Series, El Toro Loco and Driftboy912 with 46.4 feet in his attempt. Ice Cream Man was in second with 45 feet, so over a foot or almost a foot and a half over Ice Cream Man, who was in second place. So he continues and increases that streak to 3 in the Arena Series before overall, if you go back to World Finals in Orlando. So currently 4 wins in a row in terms of high jump for El Toro Loco. Moving on to racing. Again, we had an amazing racing competition. It was not as crazy as Season 2, but nonetheless still an exciting one to watch. And yet again, of course, Captain's Curse and Crazy Monster Jam Fan getting his 3rd racing win of the season, increasing his undefeated racing record in the Arena Series to 6-0. So this guy is on fire. Next time they're going to be in Wichita, so that's going to be his next opportunity to increase that racing winning streak. But Monster Mud Husky, which was the second fastest qualifier, was got second place. That's who he lost to, or that's who Captain's Curse beat in the final round. So top 2 qualifiers in Greensboro were the top 2 finalists when it came to racing, and Captain's Curse came out on top. He flipped at the finish line, but was still in line in the proper zone to avoid a penalty, so he did take the win. Moving on to skills, we were seeing if El Toro Loco and Driftboy912 would continue that streak as well, given that he won the event in Denver and the event in Portland when it came to skills. So he already had a 2 skill competition win streak going into Greensboro. But unfortunately for him, Gravedigger and April Summers came out on top, getting her first skills win of the season after getting the freestyle win back in Portland. So a good spot for Gravedigger and April Summers, given that she's kind of in a tight spot right now and definitely needs points. So huge congratulations to her for getting her first skills win of this season. Moving on to freestyle, Doomsday and MJMJ Producer coming out with a great run, a 35 in regulation and a 1 in bonus. It was cut short, but was enough to take the win with a score of a 36. El Toro Loco and Driftboy912 was just behind them with a 35, a 30 in regulation, and 5 in bonus. It was an amazing run. You should definitely check it out. He had a consecutive backflips almost in the center of the over-under. It was insane. So definitely one to check out. El Toro Loco almost getting the freestyle win, but again, Doomsday just had the better run in the end. So once it was all said and done, we had a tie for the overall event champion between El Toro Loco and Driftboy912 and Captain's Curse and Crazy Monster Jam Fan. Both had 22 points at the end of the competition. However, the tiebreaker is the truck with the highest or the higher freestyle score is the overall event champion winner. That's the tiebreaker. El Toro Loco had a 35. Captain's Curse had a 34. So after it was all said and done, El Toro Loco was your overall event champion in Greensboro, giving him quite an advantage when it comes to the leaderboards. Once it was all said and done, we now have a tie for first at the end of the midway point. Captain's Curse and El Toro Loco tied for first with 67 points. Ice Cream Man in third with 52 points. Monster Mud Husky in fourth with 50 points. Gravedigger in fifth with 48 points. And Doomsday in sixth with 46 points. So not a great stop for Gravedigger and April Summers. She's moved down just by 1 in the leaderboards, but 2 more events to go, 10 more competitions total to get more points. So it's not the end of the road for any of these drivers, but definitely keeping an eye on Captain's Curse and El Toro Loco as they have a tie and a 15-point lead over Ice Cream Man, who's in third place. But they have a tie going into Wichita, which is going to be the next event. Not this week, but next week. This week, we're going to be in the Stadium Series for their midway point of the season. Bakugan Dragonoid still on top with 87 points. A Dragon in second with 84, so he's creeping up and trying to take that title, that top spot away from Bakugan. Max D in third with 76 points. Soldier Fortune in fourth with 72. Crush Station in fifth with 71. Monster Dalmatian in sixth with 69. Blue Thunder in seventh with 65. Megalodon in eighth, or tied in 8th place with Alien Invasion. They both have 58 points. Earthshaker in 10th with 57. And Gas Monkey Garage and Northern Nightmare tied for 11th place with 51 points. And just again, a huge development here when it comes to Northern Nightmare, because he's never been in last place. He's always been at the top of the leaderboards, at least top 3. And for the first time ever, he's in dead last, and he is your back-to-back Stadium Series champion. So it's really a shocker to see, but we're coming to the midway point, and San Diego, it's going to be in San Diego, and this is where he won it all in Season 1. This is pretty much where he had cemented his position as the Season 1 winner. So hopefully this being his spot is where he decides to wake up and make a charge for first place. So that's going to be it for the results of last week. So again, Stadium Series, the midway point of Stadium Series is going to be today, starting with qualifying at 4 p.m. Central Time on YouTube. Patrons have are a week early, and we'll see the 4th stop of the Arena Series today at 4 p.m. Central Time in Wichita. So again, a benefit to being a patron is you get to be a week ahead and get to see the results a lot sooner than everybody else. You also get a advantage to signups when it comes to the next season. So anybody who's a paid Patreon right now will have early access and first dibs when it comes to signing up for Season 4 of the Steel Titans 2 series or the Showdown series, depending on where we take this after Season 3. So, but again, that's it. Be sure to check out the qualifying stop, or the qualifying video, qualifying event, of the Stadium Series today, again, 4 p.m. Central Time on YouTube. And yeah, that's going to be it for that. So before we move on to our special guest, got to do it one more time for y'all. And it's going to be talking about W Energy, the partner of my channel. Again, guys, be better with W Energy. Use code PROJECTRODROD to receive 10% off of your W Energy order, guys. This stuff is amazing. Energy, focus, concentration, and reaction. And I drink this right now during the podcast. I drink it when I record. I drink it when I game, and it keeps me super focused, and it doesn't give me any kind of headaches, any kind of jitters. it does what it's supposed to. It gives you energy, keeps you focused, and that is exactly what you need when it comes to doing stuff like this. So again, guys, be better with W Energy. If you're unsure about buying a tub, that's totally okay. They have a starter sample pack. It comes with 3 flavors and a shaker cup, and the flavors are Dragonade, Galaxy Grenade, and Beach and Peach. My personal favorite is Beach and Peach. Galaxy Grenade is right after that. So my top 2 flavors are a part of that 3 flavor pack, and right now they have a sale going on to where it's $2 off. And then if you use code Project Rod, you get an extra 10% off of that, which ends up being about like $1.60, $1.70 extra off on top of that. So be sure to check that out, guys. W.GG, and then look for the starter sample pack. Be sure to enter code Project Rod before checkout to get that extra 10% off to get a better deal. And again, all proceeds, or not all, but a small portion of that purchase comes back to me, and it helps support the channel, and I really appreciate that a lot, guys. It goes a long way. So let's go ahead and get started with the guest of today's event. Again, the Cameron9785 was Mohawk Warrior in Season 2 and a judge in Season 3, a great guy, and looking forward to seeing what y'all think about our conversation. And yeah, happy to have him here, Lowe's. So let's go ahead and get that going. So for today's guest, we have a previous driver of the Steel Titan series. He was a Mohawk Warrior in Season 2, and in Season 3, he jumped into the judge's seat, and hoping to return later on for future seasons, we have the Cameron9785. How you doing today, Cameron?
Doing great. It's good to be here.
Good, man. It's good to have you here. I know you've been pretty excited to be on here, and I've been pretty eager to have just about everybody on here. So I'm glad that this is getting some pretty good traction, and a lot of people are really interested, so it means a lot. So again, super excited to have you here. Glad you joined, and we'll go ahead and get started with the questions and everything, get this conversation going. So to start off, what is it that initially drew you to Monster Jam, or monster trucks in general? It doesn't really have to be Monster Jam, but what about it just said, yeah, like that's definitely it. That's what I like.
Well, first off, the one thing that got me into Monster Jam was the toys, the diecast.
For sure.
Okay, my first ever diecast was Gravedigger, from the Metal Base, from the Hot Wheels toy line. Mm-hmm. That was my first toy was Gravedigger from 2005 when they produced the Hot Wheels at the time. Mm-hmm. And then I watched some of the Monster Jam DVDs. Hot Wheels made them. First was Tour Crushers, and I think it was Circuit.
Oh, I remember those. Is that whenever they sold those little mini like Rev Treads trucks that came with the DVDs? Is that what you're talking about?
I don't think so. I got these 2 DVDs separately, not the Rev Treads.
Okay. I remember when I was younger, they would sell, it was a DVD, and it was always like a theme. It was one of 2 trucks, and the one that I had was Blue Thunder and El Toro Loco, and it just showed a bunch of highlights of each truck, and it came with a little Rev Tread. It was a little mini one. It's almost like the Monster Jam minis now, but this one, you'd pull it back and it'd go, and it was an El Toro Loco mini Rev Tread. I don't know what happened to it now. I mean, that was years ago. So, but yeah, I'm pretty positive that just about everybody's first diecast was Gravedigger. I know mine too. I want to say from what I remember, it was Gravedigger, and I don't know what the second one was, but it was 2 different ones. Possibly, yeah. There was a play set that they sold way back when, and it came with like slime, and they would race down and hit like a lever or something, and slime would fall on the trucks.
Was it the Slime Arena with Gravedigger?
Probably. That sounds about right, and I think it came with Gravedigger 20th anniversary, maybe.
Oh yeah, that was back in 2002. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't. Of course, that play set's long gone now, but I do still have the 20th anniversary Gravedigger. I have it in my storage unit with all my other.
That was years ago, I think.
Yeah. And I'm surprised I still have it, but I knew it was gonna have a lot of sentimental value as I got older, so I made sure to keep that one. So definitely, definitely thinking about it, man. I remember playing in my parents' living room when I was a kid with that stuff, and the slime just got everywhere. Oh man, I'm sure that playset is crazy expensive right now if you try to look it up. But continuing with that. So what's a memorable experience that you've had attending a Monster Jam or a Monster Truck event? What's something that just you can't forget?
My first show was back in 2007. There was Gravedigger at the time. I think it was Gary Porter, I believe. I don't know who's driving Gravedigger at the time. That was in 07. That was in the Lafayette Cajun Center. I'm from Louisiana. Maybe you don't know.
Okay.
I go to Louisiana and Monster Jam.
So we're neighbors. I'm in Texas.
from a state from apart from you. So anyway, here's my backstory where I came my first ever Monster Jam event. So there was Gravedigger, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Band News, Travis Fast, Annihilator, Gunslayer, and Predator. And there was like total of 8 or 7 trucks, I believe it was. I couldn't remember, but I remember going to Monster Jam show in 2007 at the venue at the time. It was awesome.
No, yeah, and I'm sure even back then too. Before, I mean, don't get me wrong, the backflips, the bicycles, all that, they're insane, they're crazy. But just thinking back at the original time when they would just go at it, go crazy, and the big air, the wheels flying off, and the trucks flipping all over the place, getting back on all fours, continuing the run. I mean, it was definitely a good time to be a Monster Jam fan around that time.
Yeah, me too. I was at the right age when I grew up in the era of Monster Jam before the Mon era started, and when fan judging came around at the Mon era, and fans are starting to go downhill after I think World Finals 17 when Des Anderson had the most outstanding freestyle run, and he should have won. He should have scored higher than his son Adam.
Oh, don't even get me started. Man, that made me so mad.
On that. I wish that he could have won. Same way with Darren Bradshaw.
Yeah, that made me so mad, and that right there just showed you how it was going to be from going on out. But I remember when Adam won that year, and I mean, eventually I plan on breaking that down too. I'm going to go through all the World Finals as soon as I find time in between, working the series and all that. But that's one I'm really looking forward to doing, just because I feel like everyone else shares the same opinion when it comes to Adam winning that year. And no disrespect to Adam, I mean, he is a phenomenal driver, but he definitely did not deserve the win that year.
Yeah,
without a doubt.
I love Adam Erickson. He's one of the greatest drivers I met in person. Actually, I did met him in Orlando back in 2019 at World Finals 20, and then this year's past World Finals 2 as well in California.
Yeah, I don't think I ever met Adam. I've met Ryan. I came close to meeting Dennis. But whenever I tried to get in line for Dennis, they were like, "Oh nope, it's too late. We got to start cutting people off because we're getting close to the end of the pit party." And that was the last time I ever really got close to meeting him.
Same thing goes through when I was trying to meet Tom Mans after his retirement.
Yeah, I don't think I ever got close to meeting him either. Him or Neil. Anytime Max D was in town, I don't think I ever really got close to meeting any of them. But just because the lines were ridiculously long, I think I met one Gravedigger driver. And I'm trying to remember who it was. I just don't recall, but I met one Gravedigger driver ever. I don't know. It escapes me right now, but I guess speaking of drivers and on the topic of drivers, who are, it could be many, it could be one, but I guess we'll go with one and then the other. Who is your favorite monster truck and who is your favorite driver?
My favorite truck is Gravedigger, like always. My number one favorite. Secondary favorite is Max D, and my favorite driver is Thomas, even though he retired this year.
Oh yeah, fortunately I was able to see him one last time in Houston. I think it was the week after that, either a week or two after that's whenever he had that accident. But luckily I was able to see him one last time, and luckily it was in that OG Maximum Destruction body, so that was definitely a great moment to go back in time and kind of just remember him tearing it up back then here in Houston, way back when. So it was a great moment nonetheless. And well, you did say, did you meet Tom or you didn't meet Tom?
I did meet him back in 2010. That was the first time I met him. Mm-hmm. That was in Raging Cane's Cajun Center back in 2010 with all the drivers, with like Sean Duhan, Bruce Haney, the driver of Band News, Travis Fast, I believe it was. Lionel Eastler, the driver of Instigator. I could be wrong.
Oh man, I remember all of those trucks, and it's I don't even know if they're still driving nowadays. I mean, it's been a long time, and I do have all their toys and everything too. Yeah, I mean that was years ago.
Yeah, that was a long time ago. It was like 10 plus years ago.
Yeah, and I've been watching on that Pluto TV. I saw Monster Jam announce that Pluto TV has like a special Monster Jam channel, and it's just 24/7 nonstop Monster Jam events, and sometimes they'll pull up all the older ones, a lot of the older shows, and like I saw War Wizard the other day, and I'm like, holy cow, how could I forget about War Wizard? And I forget that at some point he was in a World Finals as well, and it's just all these old trucks and drivers just coming back to me, and I'm just like, man, you forget about all of that until you like really sit down and start looking at older footage. So I mean, it's a lot of greats that just I don't want to say they fell off, but they kind of just disappeared.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I feel like some of the old drivers are not around anymore, or don't even drive, or monster trucks anymore, like George Belhan, Chad Fortune, Pablo Huffaker, like I mentioned earlier, and Candace Jolly, Mark McDonald, and so on.
Yeah, and I was wondering what happened to Chad Fortune, given that I believe Soldier Fortune was pretty much named after him, and then they just kept it. Just out of nowhere, I just realized that he wasn't driving anymore. And really, that's what happened with a lot of these drivers, like George Belhan. All of a sudden, he was just gone. And then so Candace as well. I was just I'm sure maybe they got over it, or they just they want to renew their contract or whatever. Maybe they were just tired of traveling all the time. I'm sure it's not an easy thing to do, but
yeah, I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying, but we all do miss Chad Fortune. He is one of the greatest drivers of all time, but he's not really my favorite driver. But I think he's a great driver nonetheless. He drove some trucks like Power Forward, Captain America, and Superman, which is a perfect fit for him.
Yeah, and I one of my memories about Chad Fortune was back in World Finals 9, maybe World Finals 8. I think it was World Finals 8 when he was going on that double jump and he went up into a wheelie. It was too much, so he I guess reverse somersaulted it, landed on the nose, and then just stayed there.
Yeah, I remember.
Do you remember that? And he jumps on the tire, I think, or like on the bus on the stack and does a Superman pose. That's one of my most, like, when I think Chad Fortune, that's the first thought that comes to mind is that moment in World Finals, and I want to say it was World Finals 8 back when
that was
Captain's
in
Curse won.
2007. Yeah.
Yep. That's right. 2007. That was the first Monster Jam World Finals DVD I ever owned, and I watched the heck out of that thing. I mean, over and over. I mean, I have the whole event memorized at some point, just because I watched it so many times,
right.
and I kept hoping that it was going to be a different outcome because it was Gravedigger's 25th anniversary.
Yes.
So I was like, oh, maybe if I watch it this time, he'll be the winner.
Also, Captain's first winning freestyle run.
Yeah.
And John C. Sonic and Batman won racing that time.
Yep, and then he won racing that next year, back to back.
Yeah, 2008 and 2007, back to back years.
Yeah, that was such a great era.
Yeah, I know.
So, but I guess we're talking about different eras and back then versus now and the tricks and everything that can be done. But I guess what specific aspects what events do you find the most fascinating when it comes to Monster Jam? Like, what is it that you look the most forward to?
I like to see how what they bring in the future for Monster Jam and some new generation of fans, like some new truck ideas and some new track ideas, and some things that could have been approved in the modern era. Some things that they want the fans to bring back, like some old trucks and some new names and the new concept of trucks, and and the fans will like it, will love it, and appreciate it. And for me as well, I will love it. So that'll be a good idea for fans to see what they can do in the modern era of Monster Jam.
Yeah, and I know you just mentioned tracks, and that's kind of a big thing that I've been seeing a lot lately is people talking about tracks and how they're pretty much all the same. Every single stop, it's the exact same track every time. And I know back then, the track was always different. And I remember I used to go to, they would come down to Houston 3 times a year, and every single event was always different. Every single one, every single track was always different. It was never the same. And I wish they would go back to that. I know, it's all about the points and everything, but I mean, they got to switch it up. I feel like, in a way, it could get kind of repetitive, and I'm sure the drivers kind of get tired of doing the exact same thing and the exact same track every single time. So I feel like shifting the tracks a little bit and getting better designs and different designs for each show would go a long way.
Yeah, I see your point. So I get it. Everything has changed, and nowadays, and the sport has changed a lot for the past 30 years or so. And we all look back in the previous years on Monster Jam, where we grew up as fans when we were young. And for me and myself, as I look back myself and look back all these new eras of these old eras of how the sport has evolved over the years, and I sit down and thought to myself, man, how I look at myself as a fan been a fan for almost 20 plus years, and see all these drivers and what they can do to the trucks, so racing head to head and do freestyles and crash and boom boom and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy how much it's evolved, and and everything that can do now. And like you said, you've been a fan over 20 plus years. I myself have been one as well. And you know, seeing the evolution. And I mean, one big way to really see how much it's changed is like look at World Finals. Look at World Finals 1 compared to World Finals 23, and you can see exactly how much this sport has evolved over the years, and just how crazy it is, and how much they progressed, and the technology, and the trucks are lighter now, and they can take more hits, and the air that they can get. I mean, it's crazy. So, but out of all the lineups, out of all the events, if you could have one like dream event, one dream lineup, or let's say, you know, 5 drivers that you could choose to have in one World Finals event for one last time, who would they be?
I want to say Dennis Anderson and Gravedigger,
for sure.
Tom Mintz and Max D, George Bellhan and Mohawk Warrior, Barmer Sauer and Spider-Man, and Wednesday Wink and Iron Outlaw.
Oh yeah, I forget, and you know, I think I said this last time. When I was talking to Drift, I believe it was in that conversation where I completely forgot about Lindsey Wink, and you know, he used to drive the Lucas Oil Crusader, and that was one of my personal favorites. I loved seeing him go out there, so I forget Lindsey Wink. I mean, he was a really good driver too, from what I recall.
Yeah, he was. He's a good racer too. He's a really good racer. Like Dennis Anderson, Tom, and all that.
I mean, I haven't really been paying too much attention. Like I said, I recently got back into the sport after taking a break for a while, so I just came back to a lot of new names and a lot of old names just gone. So it's just it was just a slap in the face, kind of, you know, realizing who's here and who's gone. So I don't even know where these people went to and what they're doing now. So I'm sure they're still
go on their separate ways, and then they move on to their lives and stuff. As they look back at it, they watch TV and watch themselves drive their own trucks in the live event and Monster Jam, and they put their smiles on their faces.
Yeah.
And
I'm sure they miss it. So I know I would if I did that. I don't even think I'd ever want to stop. So talking about, you know, Monster Jam and the community and everything, how do you engage with other fans, and how, like, what do you do to, I guess, stay in the know?
Keep up with the sport on social media, like Instagram, YouTube. Not really on Facebook, but I keep in touch with fans who are the same age as I am, who grew up the same sport, and have like full conversations with friends and things like that. Because sometimes when the friends like I have, who love Monster Jam, and just in case Monster Trucks, Avengers Racing, who loves Monster Trucks, and he really loves pizza. You know, I love pizza too, because, you know, I really love pizza, because pizza is my favorite food.
That's a good one.
Like Monster Truck Ward, Hayden Allen 7, everyone in the Monster Jam community who fell in love with the sport since like day one or sometime in the middle.
Yeah, for sure. And I was gonna say Avengers Racing, you brought him up, and I remember in that event that Tom Mintz came to Houston, he was there, and I didn't get to meet him, but I don't know if you're familiar with Dave. I think Dave609 from YouTube is his username. He's on Instagram. He's in the server as well. He's also one of the judges for season 3. But I almost met him. Unfortunately, we got busy doing our own things at the show, so we weren't able to actually meet. But I know he met him and took a picture with him. So that was pretty cool. But you know, speaking about being a fan and everything, how has being a fan of Monster Jam influenced you in your life?
To be honest with you, I'm not a big fan of the sport like I used to. Back when it was on TV, like a speed channel, Fox Sports 1. Nowadays they use Math TV and everything like that. They program the Monster Jam, and they program live events in general. When they show it on TV, watching trucks jump over cars and race head to head, and then you're gonna love going to your first show the first time.
Yeah, and I know, you know, now it's a lot easier, really, to watch these shows and to be able to, you know, witness them and be a little more, what's the word I'm looking for, engaged. It's a little more engaging. Now that they're live streaming on YouTube. So like the live stream helps out a lot, and I plan on doing like watch parties on the server where everyone can just jump in whenever they want and just kind of just watch the live stream off of YouTube, and you know, we can all chat and comment on it ourselves. Right now I feel like it's kind of a little slower for them. It seems like they're mainly doing like arena shows and stuff. So maybe once it picks back up, we can definitely do something like that. Just something a little more engaging, at least on our end, on
just
my
like
side.
You said, engaging to the sport you fell in love since day one.
Talking about Monster Jam and the future, I believe you might have touched on this a little bit, but we'll come back to it. What are you hoping for the future of Monster Jam, or what do you expect? Is there something specific you would like to see them do in the future? Any kind of like stunt, or just anything in general that you would like for them to have in the future? Yeah, kind of see who the next set of elite drivers are going to be, and when you know what they'll be capable of. I mean, in a span of 10 years or so, they managed to perfect bicycles and moonwalks and backflips and stoppies and all that stuff. So it's just something you look forward to, is just the evolution of that and how much further they can take it.
Yeah, it's funny how the sport has grown for like 30 years.
Yeah, I mean it's crazy from just slowly going over cars to jumping over them and racing, to now we're doing racing and freestyle, to now it's racing and donuts and wheelies and freestyle, and now skills, and now all these tricks, and then they have all the world records. So I mean it's gonna be interesting to see what Monster Jam brings in the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years. Hopefully it can be even bigger from there, and that's really the main goal with the podcast and my channel and everybody else's channels, is just let's bring more awareness to the sport, let's bring more people, more fans, and the bigger it gets, the better the shows are going to be. I would think now that it has more attention, so they're going to want to outdo themselves to make sure to keep bringing more people in. So but I guess let's see, we'll got a few more for you. One of which would be, is there any kind of story or interaction that left an impression on you that you just it's one of your favorite moments ever that you were a part of?
I do have a favorite moment I have in mind, because I would say my favorite moment, I have a social interaction with I think it was Chris Kohler, the racing driver with Monster Mud. Well, last year back in the World Finals in Nashville, Tennessee, he had a pretty solid run. With he had a pretty good save, and then when he hit the next obstacle and hit the ramp, and then sent him back on four wheels, and then the officials shut him off. And I wish they could have they should have let them keep going and have the freestyle win. Yeah,
and I feel like them shutting off a lot of these drivers really do affect them and the way they're able to perform and what their freestyles could have been. And I know a good point, I think it was Arlington? Maybe, I don't know. It was an event earlier this year where Bakugan Dragonoid and
Cameron Murphy,
he just went absolutely crazy, and he was flipping all over the place and back on all fours, and another hit, then he'd flip over again and back on all fours. And I mean, by the time that run was said and done, that frame was bent in all sorts of places, the chassis.
Yeah.
I mean, it was bent everywhere, but I mean, they let him go.
Wild. If I was there, I would lose it. I would scream my head off.
Absolutely. And I feel like that is what they just need to let these drivers do, instead of just saying, oh, look, they have a part of the body's coming off, shut them off, one of their lights are flickering, shut them off. And it's like, come on now, we gotta just let them go, and I get it, maybe if a tire breaks off or something more serious to where something can actually fly off of the truck, then fine, 100% understand it's a safety issue, let's get it under control. But they'll even go and pick up parts of like the fiberglass body or whatever. Like they won't let anyone continue until they pick up the little pieces of the body, and it's like it's fiberglass body. It's not gonna, it's not gonna hurt somebody. Like I don't know. It's not that serious. I feel like it has become a lot of overkill lately when it comes to
the sport has some like strict rules for the drivers to follow before the event starts.
Yeah, and I don't know. Like I said, I understand. The safety of everybody. That's the utmost important thing, is the safety of the drivers, the safety of the fans, the safety of the crew, and all the field officials and all that. I get it, 100% understand, but there has to be there has to be a little bit of give. There has to be, I guess, an opportunity for them to really go all out and make an amazing show.
You cannot say like it's absurd, or you're not gonna sugarcoat it. But just like I said, just like you mentioned, that wave the fiberglass on the track, and they don't let the trucks like do whatever they want. They just, if the tire breaks and they keep on going, they just keep the fans wild off their seats, and they just have the fans excitement, and that was it. Nowadays they don't do it anymore, which is
and that, like I said, I've been watching all these older Monster Jam shows and videos and such on that Pluto TV and all that, and I mean, you can just see they would tear those trucks up, and they would just keep going, and the truck wouldn't give, and that's just not a thing anymore, and it's pretty unfortunate.
Yeah, I know. Change is a good thing.
No, for sure, and I mean, I feel like they're not as bad as they used to be, but it's still kind of there, and I know that's one of people's, one of their number one complaints is that it's not what it used to be, and they don't have as much free range. So
yeah, I know. It's all good things must come to an end, and then focus on to the future.
Yeah, and it can only be go up from here. So hopefully, like I said, we see some change and we can get a little more crazy with it. But I guess last couple of questions before we wrap this up. One of which is, if you could create your own monster truck, I guess, what would you name it, and what would it look like? Do you have kind of an idea of your dream truck if you could make it and drive it yourself?
Okay, I have one truck that I will create in my mind. I will call it the Cajunator. I will explain how it works. Okay, the Cajunator will look like the Cajunator with the robot with the Terminator. And then you can have the Cajunator wearing the Cajun hat and cooking some crawfish or jambalaya.
There you go.
Yeah, and then have like Louisiana in the background and swamps, and with alligators, and tailgate. It says for the people and families of Louisiana in the back. That would be a very cool design. I would have.
Heck yeah, and there's not a lot of they make the diecast of the different states and stuff, but you don't really have state themed trucks that you've seen, so that would definitely be different, and I'm sure that would bring a lot of, at least in Louisiana, it'll bring that crowd to its feet every single time. So that's definitely a pretty cool and interesting concept. And you mentioned crawfish, and I love me some crawfish. Luckily, we're right next door to y'all, so we have a lot of people that know how to make it. So
yeah, I see what you did there, man.
So
oh man, I have a good laugh with you, man.
Well, I'm glad you're enjoying it, man. I'm glad you're here. This has been a lot of fun, and I just got a couple more questions for you.
Okay.
And we're gonna go ahead and steer towards the sign up series. Like I mentioned before, you were in Mohawk Warrior in season 2 and season 3. Unfortunately, you weren't able to make it, but you did join in as a judge, so I do appreciate that. And then, like I said, hopefully in the future we can definitely get you back on if we move to Showdown or Stay in Steel Titans for future series. But looking at the series now, who is your favorite? Who do you think has the opportunity to win it this year, both in the arena and the stadium series?
Just like mentioned in the stadiums, Ethan Waters and Max D, he is a reigning racing champion.
Mm-hmm.
And arenas, Gravedigger, who was driving Gravedigger in the recent series.
It's April Summers. She was the driver of Monster of Dalmatian for season 1 and 2, so she's been a runner-up twice, unfortunately for her. But so Gravedigger in the arena series, and Max D and Ethan Waters in the stadium series.
Yes.
All right. And who do you think? And I think I was talking to Drift in the last 2 episodes ago, and he did mention April is his competitor right now. And
I have an eye on her too.
Yeah.
I have an eye.
He said if I don't win, then she definitely deserves it. And I mean, she's been killing it so far. Had a slow start, but she's slowly getting there. And last I looked, we just had the midpoint of the series. This past Friday was the end of it, and she's currently in 5th. But I mean, you never know. It's still halfway. The halfway point of the series. There's 2 more events to go. 10 more competition opportunities. So You know, you never know what could happen going into the fourth stop of the season, and then Stadium Series is going to the midway point of their stop. And let me see, Max D and Ethan Waters are currently in third place, so they're 11 points behind Bakugan, who's in first. So you never know. I mean, it's getting pretty close.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, but no, you being a judge now, I guess, what is it? Is there anything particular that you look for when you know, judging competitions? And is there anything you look for when you're judging? I'm gonna say, do you just want to see them throw it down?
Yeah, just how I like throw in some like new moves we had never seen before, and some future ideas, like future moves we haven't seen before.
Yeah, I'm sure if any of them are listening right now, they're going to be paying pretty close attention, and to make sure to give you a heck of a show to get a higher score. So yeah. I'm sure they appreciate that. But I guess before we go ahead and do head out, I mean, is there anything you want to ask or anything you want to say to everybody before you go?
For everyone out there who is a Monster Jam fan, I would love and appreciate all of you who been part of the Monster Jam community for a very long time. I will never stop watching Monster Trucks until the day I die.
Yeah.
So
same here.
I will never stop watching Monster Jam until my day comes. So
good point. That's a great. I'm sure a lot of us are like that too. So, and you know, future generations to come, we'll show them as well until they are in the same spot as we are. So, but with all that said and done, once again, I do appreciate you for being here. It's been fun. Glad you joined. Glad you were interested. So I appreciate you a lot. And hopefully we can do this again in the future. And like I said, we can have you in a future series again.
Yeah, we sure can. Absolutely, man. It's good seeing you on the chat and the podcast.
Yeah, man. You too. Thanks again. And we'll catch you in the next one, man.
All right, later.
All right, everybody. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. Thank you again. Huge thank you to TheCameron9785 for joining me today. I had a lot of fun. Definitely had a good time having a conversation. I'm glad that you could finally join me in the podcast, and hopefully I can have one of you guys, somebody else, join me in the podcast next time. So far we've had Drift, now we've had the TheCameron9785, so let's see who we can have next time. I'll be sure to have that Google Docs sign up sheet up as soon as I can. That way it's a lot easier to sign up and we can get time slots and all that going. So again, huge shout out to the TheCameron9785. Be sure to check him out on social media, on Instagram, give him some love and let him know how he did on the podcast. And yeah, and before we end today's episode, I have a good memory now. I actually remembered this time around to do it. So the comment question of the day comes from Nitro Studios, who is the driver of Monster Mud Husky in the Arena series. And his question is, what is your opinion on the new Monster Jam Showdown game? And honestly, I kind of have mixed opinions when it comes to it. Like, I've seen, you know, everybody has seen the leaks at this point, and you know, I try not to see too much of the leaks because I don't want the game ruined for me. I want to be surprised. I want to be able to witness and experience everything for the first time when I play it. So I didn't see too much, but I did see a good amount. And if I'm being 100% honest, it looks a lot of fun. It looks like it's going to be tons of fun and a brand new experience, something new away from Steel Titans, which we've been playing for the past 4 or 5 years. So it's definitely going to be a new experience, something a lot more fun. But my biggest complaint is freestyle right now. It looks very floaty. When they hit the big jumps, it's kind of just floating up there in the air for a really long time. So the air time is ridiculous, to say the least. So hopefully they can patch that up. And I know the devs have come out and said it's not a final release. They're still working on it and everything. So hopefully that is the case and they do get that fixed. But that's my only complaint right now. That, and a lot of the moves look kind of forced. This might not make sense the way I explained it, but like, when I saw one of the trucks going to go for a backflip, it's like an animation takes over and it does a backflip and then it goes back to normal. Like, it's not like a smooth transition like Steel Titans 2. You go, and I feel like it's more realistic there with the backflip, where you go, you hit it, you get the spin, like, and it continues going. But in Showdown, from what I've seen, at least from the early footage, is that it almost looks like an animation. Same thing with the bicycle. Like, it's in a fixed position. It's not a natural position. You don't progress into that position like in real life or like in Steel Titans 2. It's like you go for a bicycle and boom, and it like immediately gets you in an angle and fixes you in that position. It might be the driver assist, maybe. I know I've seen that there's going to be a driver assist when it comes to the Showdown game. That way it makes it a little easier, especially for the younger crowd playing. So maybe that's what it is. I don't know. I haven't played it myself. I've seen a little bit of footage. Again, I don't want to spoil it for myself. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it, if I'm being 100% honest. Definitely going to be something new. A lot of more trucks, a lot more liveries, whatever. A lot of skins, we'll say skins, for the trucks. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm pretty hopeful, and hopefully they can make a lot of changes and improvements. And they did release the schedule of the post-game content, and it looks really fun. It looks like a lot of cool things are coming our way. So we'll see what happens, and I do plan on making a sign-up series out of it like I did Steel Titans 2. And my good buddy Matt Johnson, he has his own Heavy Metal Monsters, I believe is what it was, the Heavy Metal Monsters League. He's going to be doing his own with the Showdown game as well, so definitely check him out. He's on YouTube and Instagram, so another good friend of mine that's going to be doing a series as well. So looking forward to it. Again, Nitro Studios, thank you so much for the question. If you'd like to have your comic question of the day answered, be sure to comment down below. This is YouTube. I think Spotify has an option to comment as well, or join my Discord. I have a channel specifically for questions for the Rodcast, so be sure to leave it there. And thank you again, Nitro Studios. Thank you to everybody else listening. I look forward to the future, and yeah, I think that's all I got for now. So I appreciate every single one of you. Hope to see what the next episode brings, and yeah, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, rate if you're on Spotify, and let me know what you think. And yeah, again, thank you guys so much. I'm Project Rod, and we'll see you in the next one.